to Thursday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where today we've got an absolutely extraordinary looking puzzle for you. This is called Spelunker, and it's by KNT. Now, I know that a spelunker is a cave explorer, I think. I think that's what spelunking is. It's sort of diving in caves, isn't it? Something that fills me with great horror. But I'm prepared to do it in Sudoku world. And this puzzle is yet another puzzle by KNT that's sort of got a 99 or a 100% rating on Logic Masters Germany. I was looking at KNT's whole history of puzzles on Logic Masters Germany earlier this morning, and basically every single puzzle they've made is rated sort of 99 or 100%. It's quite remarkable. This is a setter of profound brilliance. And we've had this one requested quite a few times. Apparently it is tricky, but anyway, I'm looking forward to having a go at it. Now, what do I need to tell you about today? I do have some news. Firstly, I need to say a massive congratulations to a few of you who have somehow finished not only pack 1 of our Sudoku packs that were released yesterday on Patreon as the monthly rewards, but also the doctoral pack as well. Now, this is incredible. Those of you that haven't tried it yet, basically on Patreon yesterday, we released a sort of standard pack of Japanese sum Sudoku puzzles from Panthera, the Asylum, and Grockles, and the doctoral pack. Now, the standard pack is about the size of a normal monthly reward. It's got a lot of really great puzzles in it, and the entries to that have been flowing in. Loads and loads of really delighted patrons as well, so that's fantastic. We didn't think anyone would solve the doctoral pack, partly because the doctoral pack has, I think it's certainly got more than 35 puzzles in it, and these are not sort of bitty puzzles, these are substantial puzzles. And yet, last night at 4 AM, Jonathan J. Harsh sent us in the correct solution, which is really, it's unbelievable, frankly. Then the next entry we had was Tom Hayton, and Tom sent in an entry at 8 o'clock this morning, and then Surab Das at about 10 AM, and then Matt Boss at about 10:30 AM. So those 4 have solved all of those puzzles. You must have been up all night, my friends. That is just sensational. Really, really well done. And yeah, and if you haven't had a go, do have a go, because we're sure that you will enjoy those puzzles mightily. Now, the next thing I'd like to talk about is a very moving email that we received yesterday, which blew us away a bit. I hope you don't mind me sharing it with you. It's from Mohammed, who says, "Dear Simon and Mark, hey there, my name is Mohammed. I'm 25 years old from Palestine. I studied structural engineering in university for 7 years. I've been working part-time in the night and summers and attending classes during the day. I've always struggled with depression and anxiety, but in college life got a lot tougher for me, my family, and for Palestinians in general, which did not help my depression. The best time of the day for years was when I got to my bed to sleep, and then I discovered your channel. I never tried to solve or set Sudoku. Your videos just had the right amount of calmness and intrigue to get me hooked. I haven't missed a video in 2 years. My graduation project's final presentation was on Monday, and the stress got to me and I started hyperventilating 2 hours before the presentation started. I was trying to call someone to come and help, and I saw the notification for Simon's Roggen video. I opened it, and suddenly I was lost in that beautiful puzzle. Time passed, and the panic attack did with it. I presented my project, and I am now a building engineer. Thank you for your help on that day and for your company over the past 2 years." Tearing up, right. I mean, that sort of thing, I just wanted, I got Mohammed's permission to read that out, and I wanted to share it with you because, well, it's completely humbling to hear news like that. And we're absolutely thrilled you got through your presentation, Mohammed, obviously. And really just to appeal to everyone out there, there is some weird property of these videos that seems to help people who suffer from anxiety or insomnia. And, you know, maybe you know somebody who might benefit from them. We don't know. But anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. This channel has done remarkable things for Mark and for me, but by far the most moving is when we get these sorts of messages. And actually, I'd also like to wish Christine luck as well. Christine, you wrote to us yesterday to say you submitted your thesis, and you wrote some very, very lovely words, and we wish you all the best with that. I hope you get good news very soon. Now I need to be less emotional and get myself into solving gear. Let me read you the rules of Spelunker. Now, KNT has given us an example as well, so maybe I should put that on the screen. I think I can do that like that, and I will read you the rules. They are as follows. Normal Sudoku rules apply. Grey squares are walls and green squares are cave. Okay, I can see what that means in terms of the finish grid anyway. Some of the cells must be coloured grey so that all grey cells, the walls, are orthogonally connected to the edge, and all other green cells form an orthogonally connected area, the cave. Grey cells may not have a 2x2 block. So this is classic cave rules, and cave, if you're not familiar with it, is a logic puzzle that's it's appeared in the World Puzzle Championship many times over the years, and it's a favourite of mine. So I'm intrigued as to what KNT has done to meld it with Sudoku. We have seen that before. Right, but let me continue reading the rules. A number in the top left corner of a cell indicates the sum of the digits that are seen from this cell looking to the north, south, east and west. The cell with the clue counts once in this sum. Walls obstruct the view. A cell with a clue must be part of the cave. A cell with a clue must be part of the cave, so it must be green. Okay, within the field of vision of a clue, digits may not repeat. So let's just check that out. So you see this 13 clue in the finish grid here, where I'm circling the cursor. You can see that is the sum of 3 plus 1 plus 5 plus 4. And indeed, there's no repeated digits in those digits. 3, 4, 1, 5 are all different. Let's try another one. This 2 here in the 10 clue is 2, 3, 4 and 1. And they do indeed sum to 10. So I can see that. But there's more. In addition, sorry, I keep having to scroll down the instructions. In addition, grey walls act as whisper lines, i.e. any two adjacent wall cells must have values that differ by at least 5. Isolated wall cells are not bound to any constraint. So let's check this out in terms of the finished grid. So you can see there's a great long string of grey, sort of where I'm moving the cursor here. And all the way down to the edge here. And oh, actually, does this example work? Maybe the example is not. Oh, because it's only 1 to 6. Okay, this is presumably saying that the difference between adjacent cells in this example puzzle have to be 3. I think I might just pause the video and check, because that's weird. Hang on. Yeah. So in this example puzzle, basically things have to be greater than or equal to 3. And in fact, I'm going to stop the video there, because I've realised that when I last paused a video, the sound went out of sync after it. So I'm going to splice together what I do next with what I've done so far. But anyway, let's just continue with the example, because if the sound's out of sync for the example, it doesn't matter too much. So you can see 6 differs from 1 by 5. 1 differs from 6 by 5, 6 differs by 2 by 4, 6 differs from 2 by 4, 2 differs from 5 by 3. So each adjacent sort of domino here is different from its neighbour by at least 3. Now in our puzzle, in the real puzzle, it needs to be different by 5. So it's a much bigger constraint, although of course we're looking at a bigger collection of numbers than 1 to 6. You can see all of the green cells are orthogonally connected. Yeah, they are. Just for a moment I wondered about that connection, but yes, that's clearly correct. And that's what we have to do. So it's an interesting, complicated rule set, but I'm looking forward to having a try. And now I'm going to stop the video and restart it. 1 second. Actually, pausing the video is a good thing as well, because I remembered that I also need to wish Claire a very happy birthday today. So Claire, your mum Jodie was in touch with us, and I think you're turning 15 if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, we just wanted to wish you all the very best. I hear that you watch a lot of the videos, and that's just brilliant to hear. And of course, I hope that you have an amazing amount of cake. Now back to me. There we go, all done. So hopefully it'd be interesting to know if you guys think the sound went out of sync in that last 1 minute of the video. And we are right, do have a go at this. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual, but now I get to play. Let's become a spelunker for the day, and let's get cracking. Now I think the thing we must do here first is to highlight all of the clue cells, and we know all of the clue cells are in the cave, which means they are going to be made green. And therefore, we shall look at these clues greater than 0. I mean, that clue's basically finished then. This clue greater than 0 because, well, no, all we have to do now to complete this clue is to connect it to the rest of the green cells somewhere. That's it. That's the amount of information this cell gives us. 29, that looks like it's the biggest clue in the grid. So 29 has got to be at least 4 cells, because it could be 5, 7, 8 and 9. We can't repeat within the 29 clue. So I want to say this cell's got to be green, but is that true? Yeah, that cell has to be green, because if it wasn't, if we make that cell grey, how are we going to complete this 29 clue? If we take it horizontally, we know it's at least 4 cells large, so it's going to have to connect to the 18. And the moment it connects to the 18, it cannot be bigger than 8. It cannot see in this direction more than 18, because that would break the 18 clue. So that's not going to work. That means that this cell is green. Now, does that mean this one has to be green? Maybe not, actually. If this 29 clue was only 4 cells and looked like this, and we grade off those, what's wrong with that? So this would be 5, 7, 8, 9, and less than 20. There's so many less than clues, greater than clues. It's so unhelpful. I can't see what's wrong with that. So maybe we have to stop here at the moment. So the 23, less than 23. I mean, less than 13, less than 20. What about that cell then? Is that problem? Oh no, this is greater than 0. Oh, good grief. No, okay. So if this is green, that would have to be a 1, 2, 4 string, because 3 cells adding up to 7 would have to be 1, 2, 4. And then this cell would be green, but that's not putting any pressure on this. Oh, actually no. There is a reason that this doesn't work. It's quite interesting. Right, if this was green, because we have to then bound the green, and this has to be 1, 2, 4, what cell... The 11 is now seeing 11, is seeing 7 in this direction, so it needs to take another cell. But this cell means that we've now got 4 digits that sum to 11. Well, the only way of 4 digits summing to 11 is 1, 2, 3 and 5, and that won't work. So that's interesting. So that means that this cell is grey. Right. And that's actually very powerful, weirdly, because of a rinky-dink that you may not know if you've never done a cave puzzle before. I've told this story before, but I like telling it because it's an indication of how your puzzle-solving skills evolve over time. So when I was originally sort of trying to become part of the UK team to go to the World Puzzle Championship and things like that, I used to practice puzzles in my lunch break when I was working as a banker in Canary Wharf. And yeah, so I would go and I would find a bench to sit on in Canary Wharf, and I would have my puzzles, and I would sort of sit there and eat a sandwich and do my puzzles. And I remember doing cave puzzles and being fairly baffled by them, because I couldn't understand how people were doing them so quickly, because I didn't know the piece of logic I'm about to tell you. And the key is, and this was never explained, by the way, in the early instructions you used to get for cave puzzles, it never used to say that, you know, bits of the cave had to connect to the wall and things like this. But this criteria is really important. So let's try and see what would happen if we made a checkerboard pattern in a cave grid like this. How could this puzzle now complete itself? And the answer is it cannot. Because the greens have to be orthogonally connected in a sequence, how are we going to connect this cell to this cell orthogonally? And the answer is we can't, because in doing so, we would break another rule of however these connected, they would prevent this grey cell from getting to the edge of the grid, which it needs to do. The rules are very clear in the instructions to this puzzle. They didn't used to be in the puzzles I was trying to do. But so this is very important, because it means you could never have a checkerboard in this grid. And therefore, let's look at this pattern. Both of those squares have to be green. Now, I don't know if I know what that means yet, but oh, so now there's more pressure on this digit. Look, so if this was a green digit, the 29 would see 6 cells straight away vertically, which means it couldn't see more than another single cell horizontally, because if it did, it would be effectively an 8-cell killer cage. And well, I need to tell you the secret, don't I? Just in case you don't know it. I know most of you know it already, but if you're new to Cracking the Cryptic, we always try and make our videos new viewer friendly. And there is a secret about Sudoku that is important, and the secret is that because of the rules of Sudoku, any complete row, any complete column, or any complete box will contain the digits 1 to 9 once each. Therefore, we know the sum of that complete row, complete column, or complete box. It must be the sum of the digits 1 to 9, and that is 45. So let's think about that in the context of a 29 clue. If all the digits, all 9 of the digits, add up to 45, how could this 29 clue be effectively an 8-cell region? So let's ask that question. How could all of these cells be green? And the answer is that's impossible, because these have to be 8 different digits according to the rules of the puzzle. The missing digit from this 8-cell string would have to be a 16, because 29 plus 16 is 45, and that won't work. So we know that the maximum size of this region is 7 cells, and therefore if I do take this cell, I can't take this cell. And if I think is if I don't take this, then I've got all sorts of stuff I can do along the bottom. So, Alright, so I'm not sure whether we can go much further with that. Greater than 0. Oh, alright, what we can do simply though is this 5 clue can't connect down here, because 5 is either going to be, I suppose in this puzzle it can't be a solitary 5, can it? Because if that was a 5, the implications of that would be I'd have to fence it off with grey walls, and then it couldn't connect orthogonally to its friends. So it is exactly a 2-cell, it's a 2-cell string, this, in one direction or the other. It's either that, or that, or that. That's what I meant to do there. But definitely it's not here, because that would create a 5-cell string of greens. So this is grey, and that's about as useful as a chocolate teapot by the looks of things. So, well, no, or maybe, oh no, sorry, I was wondering if I could, I think I can rule this out, can't I, from being green? Because if that's green, the implications of that are checkerboarding. Because if this is green, now the 5 must not see another digit in this direction or this direction. It mustn't see another green digit. So we're forced to do this. So we've created a 2 by 2 checkerboard, and the implications of this connecting to an edge somewhere are that this 14 can't connect to the rest of the green world, and we mustn't isolate greens from the rest of the green world. So this cell is grey, and therefore we must avoid a checkerboard, so that cell's grey. So my 11 could be 2 digits, so we don't know what the 11 is doing yet. So the 5 clue is going either here, which would make this grey and that grey. Oh, that doesn't work. Oh, this is beautiful. This is beautiful, this puzzle. Right, why isn't this green? That's a good question. If this is green, this is grey, and now, how do we get this green out of the... It's sort of walled in by the Great Wall of Grey here. It has to get out to touch its friends, which would require this to be green, and that's going to require this 7 to be made up of 4 different digits. And, well, the minimum 4 different digits add up to is the triangular number for 4. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, which is 10. So that's too many because it's greater than 7. So that means that this cell is not green, it's grey, which avoid a checkerboard, that's grey. Make this green to get it out, make this grey to bound the 5. And now what do we do? Right, okay, so this square now is not able to be green, I think. I think that's right. If this is green, then we know that that string of digits there is a 1, 2, 4 string of digits. But then the 14, the 14 now needs another 7 to make 14, but it can't repeat any of the digits 1, 2 and 4 because it's already seen those already. So what on earth do you put into this square? Well, you'd have to put 3 in here, so these would then add up to 10, and I need another digit or 2 to add up to 4 when I haven't, and I can't use 1, 2, 3 or 4 to do that. That won't work. Really what you need to be able to do is to put 7 in here, but you can't because this is a 5 clue. So this is wrong. That's good. So that means this square is grey. And now the 14 has to get out to connect to its friends. So that's green. Avoid a checkerboard. That's green. You can have 2 by 2s of green, I think. Let me just double check that. I think it's the greys that mustn't be 2 by 2'd in cave puzzles. Yeah, so there's nothing saying that we can't have 2 by 2s in green, so we don't know what this is yet. Oh, but we do know that the 11 cannot be 5 cells large because the triangular number for 5 is 15. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, so that's grey. That grey's got to get to the edge, so it probably takes this cell. If it didn't, it would have to... These would both be green. This would have to come out. That's going to create an enormous path. If that's green, this is very constrained. Oh, the 14, we've just said the triangular number for 5 is 15, so this can't take any more cells, so that's grey. Now avoid a checkerboard, so that's grey. Okay. What does that mean? So the greater than 0 clue is mocking me. Oh, I tell you what I haven't thought about yet, and that's this German whispers property. Oh, yeah. Right. This box is utterly, not broken, that's the wrong word, but utterly constrained. Because one of the rules is that our grey walls form German whispers lines. In other words, every adjacent digit differs from the next by at least 5. Now, we've talked about this in the last couple of videos, but there are 2 things to think about in terms of German whispers. One of which is you can never put a 5 on a German whispers line, because if you do, the next digit is problematical. It can't be well, it's got to be 5 different from 5, so it's either 0 or a negative number, or it's 10 or higher. Neither of those work. So you can't put 5 into the wall. Now you can't put 5 in a 2-cell 5 clue because you can't use 5 and 0. So there's a 5 in one of those cells. That's the first deduction. But I think we can go much further than that by considering polarity. What do I mean? Well, once we know there's no 5 in grey, we can consider a grey digit to either be low, i.e. on the low side of 5, or high, on the high side of 5. So let's try making this low. What's the implication for the next digit along the grey line now? Well, because it has to be 5 different, this has to flick to the other side of the 5. It's got to be 6, 7, 8 or 9. You can't, obviously, if we're looking for a digit that's 5 different from 1, 2, 3 or 4, it cannot be a 1, 2, 3 or 4. Now the effect of that is that this digit, of course, flicks back the other side of 5. And that keeps going. So what that means, I'm thinking, is important in terms of these two digits, because these two digits are 1s, 2s, 3s and 4s to make 5 in 2 cells. So thinking about polarity in this string, how could those be the low digits? Well, they couldn't be, because they would be 1s, 2s, 3s and 4s, and now we've got a sort of cross here that would need a repeated digit to work. So that tells us that these are high digits, so they are 6, 7s, 8s and 9s. These are 1, 2, 3 and 4, and now I need to include a high digit in my 14 sum. And another digit as well. Yeah, so I think this is pretty forced, isn't it? So if we use the minimum high digit, which would be a 6 along with the 5, we'd have 11 already, and 3 more in these 2 cells. Well, they must therefore be a 1, 2 pair. So this is 1, 2, this is 5, 6. There's no way of making that anything else. This is now 3 or 4. Okay. Yes, and in fact this is a 4 by whispers. This is such a lovely puzzle already. Now, why is this a 4 by whispers? Well, the question I want to ask is, if this is a 3, where do we put the 4 along this whisper line? And any position of a 4 is going to be a problem, because you're going to have to put double 9 around it, because we need digits that are 5 away from 4. So we only got 1 digit available. So if this is a 4, both of those are a 9. That's a 4, both of those are a 9. So that means we can get rid of 4 from here, which means the only place for 4 in the box is here. 4 plus 1 is 5. That makes this a 2. These are now a 2, 3 pair. None of these can be a 6. This can't be a 7 actually, because if that was a 7 it would see a 3 on one side of it, and that won't work. So is that enough to make more progress here, or do we get stymied by that? The answer is I don't know. 7 is in one of these 2 cells. Don't know. So wherever the 3 goes here, it's going to have to be next to the 8 and the 9. I can't see how to do that. There might be a way, but I'm not seeing it, so I think we have to abandon that and start. Right, we've got 11. Right, these 2 cells add up to 9, and they're not 2, 7. So this is 1, 8, 3, 6, or 4, 5. That's totally hopeless. The greater than 0 clue again, mocking me. This one, they're both mocking me now. They've individually mocked me. Okay. What do I look at now? Oh, simple. that green, this is a 7 clue. It can't extend there, because then it would need to be 1, 2, 4, and there's a 2 already in the box. So this is grey. We can't have a 2 by 2 of grey, so that's green. So this is quite some German whisper string, especially if that's green. This is going to, well, it's probably going to have to come down here, isn't it, to get out? Oh, sorry, I hadn't spotted this. This can't be green either, because look, there's a 2-3 pair looking at this cell. So if this was a 3-cell sum adding up to 7, it would need a 2 in it, and it couldn't have one, because none of its cells could be 2. So that cell's got to be grey. Which might be interesting, or not, as the case may be. So, what can we say about the world now? So this 2-cell sum adding up to 7 is not 2, 5. It's either 1, 6 or 3, 4. Whoa, I wanted to put 3, 4. Why have I got 2, 4? 1, 6 or 3, 4. Right. And it's not 3, 4. Because if it was 3, 4, how would we fill this domino on the whisper? Remember, the whisper oscillates polarity. So one of these digits has to be a low digit, a 1, 2, 3 or 4. And if that's a 3, 4 pair, neither of them. They would see 1, 2, 3 and 4. That's impossible. So this is 1, 6. This is really clever. Right, okay. So now this is known, isn't it? Because these added up to 9, and they're not 1, 8, 3, 6 or 2, 7. They're 4, 5. There's a 4 here. Good grief. 4 and 5 go in the grid. 5 is down there. That's interesting, because if this extends here, that pushes the 5 in the corner, because you can't put 5 on a whisper. Yes, if that's green on it, if that's grey on its own though, if both of those are green, then I think we are allowed to have isolated wall cells and not bound to any constraint. Yeah, so we need to know whether this extends. Okay, well actually let me just have a think about this box as well. I need 3s, 7s, 8s and 9s into this box, and we can rule, well, yes, what we can do is say there has to be a low digit in this domino, and the only low digit available is 3. So there is a 3 in one of those 2 cells, which means these 2 cells are not 3. Which means I've got a 7, 8, 9 triple in this column. That must be important for some reason. Oh, I tell you something as well. 3 can't be next to 7 on a whisper, so this is 3, 8 or 9. And that matters why. I don't know. I don't know. Oh dear. Okay. I've got something is nagging me about this German whisper up here. Is there something we should know about this? This one is not under. I don't think there's any restriction applying to this wall cell, but I'm probably missing something there, but I don't think there is. So how am I meant to make progress now? There's got to be a 4 in one of those cells. Less than 23. I mean, it's the most absurdly chosen, number. I mean, how can this matter? I don't know. So we could argue about... I'm stuck. I'm totally stuck. I'm not seeing anything now. What we could do is... maybe we can use the 7, 8, 9 triple. So these squares are all from 1, 2, 3 and 6. So if this is now green, we have quite a big string of digits. We know the total for most of those digits actually. That would be 17. Oh, no. Hang on, I know something. This 29 clue cannot now be a 4-cell clue. Because to be a 4-cell clue, it needs to be the numbers 5, 7, 8 and 9, and it can't be. So it's at least a 5-cell clue. So how does it not take this cell? That's a good question. Yes, it does take this cell. Right. Imagine it didn't. That's the way to prove this. Imagine this 29 clue never saw further than this cell because there's a wall. Well, now it can see as many as it wants along here, but it'll be maxed out at seeing 18's worth of digits because of this clue. And that requires this clue to take the balance between 18 and 29, which is 11. You can't put 11 in that cell. So this cell is green. And that means we've got an enormous string of digits here. And we know we've got 17. So we need another. Yeah, so we need more. We need more, don't we? Even if we max that out, we still don't get to 29. So this string of digits, this 29 sees another cell, either here or here, but it sees exactly one other cell. Because if it saw 2 more cells, it would see 8 cells altogether, and the triangular number for 8 is 36, I think. So one of these digits is seen. So one of those is green. I don't have a good way, I don't think, of notating that. One of these is green. The 18 can't see too many cells down this way, therefore. And, okay, so do we know how to do better than this? Do we know I suppose we can work out, can't we? We can work out what the extra digit is that the 29 is going to have in it down here. Because we know these cells add up to 17. And this is either 7, 8 or 9. And what do we need? We need another 12. So we need a 3, a 4 or a 5. Well, it can't be a 3 because we've already got a 3 in there. And it can't be a 5. So it must be a 4. I think that's right. We need 12 more. This is catering for 7, 8 or 9. So we need 3, 4 or 5, but we can't repeat 5. We can't repeat 3. So it is a 4 we need. And the 4 is on this side. So that is the digit. Good grief. So this is a 4. This is not in the 29. This is in the 29. This is not in the 29. So these two squares become, you've guessed it, grey. That can't be grey. Or don't we have a problem with 5? We do. So that's green. Which means we don't know which of these is now grey, because neither of them obey the rule about the whisper. So we know nothing about 5. Oh, no, I was about to say this can't be a 5, because it will be seen by the 29, but of course it won't be, because these are in different rows, so this 29 doesn't see this cell. This square has to be an 8 to make the 29 work, because we knew those two added up to 12. So that means 8 gets placed in box thingy thing up here, box 1. This square's now not 8. Yeah, this is now a 3-9 pair on the whisper bit, so that's a 7. So I've not put 9 in this column now, so 9 is down here. And this column is almost completed. Look, we need an 8 in it, and we need a 7 and an 8. Oh, that might be why this 23 clue is here. Is that trying to tell me this square can't be seen? So if that cell is seen by the 23 clue, the 23 clue would see those 3 cells which add up to 19 and these 2 cells which would, it has to add up to less than 23 as well, so 22 is the maximum. So this would have to be a 1-2 pair. So that would be a 2 and this would be a 1, and that would resolve the 1-6 pair. So that looks plausible. But the fact it's plausible is not helping me. I don't want it to be plausible. I want it to be complete nonsense. Does it break the 13 clue somehow? The answer to that is maybe. Because it's doing a lot in this column, I think. If this is green, the 13 clue is then seeing those 4 cells. It couldn't see any more because the triangular number for 5 is 15. So it would see these. This would become grey, this would become grey, this would become grey to avoid checkerboarding. Yeah, it doesn't work. It's for a complicated reason. There may be a sort of simpler way of seeing this, but what I'm seeing, the problem with this being green is because it makes this grey, we've now got to deal with 3 individual dominoes of greyness in column 4, which requires 3 low numbers from our whispers logic. But in order for this to work, this has to be a 7, because if it's 8, these 3 digits have to add up to 5 with different digits. That won't work. 1 plus 2 plus 3 is 6. So this would have to be a 7, and these 2 digits have to be low, and that means there are too many low digits in this column. So that is telling us this is, in fact, grey. Now, avoid a checkerboard, so that's green. What does that do? What does it do? In fact, I mean, let's just worry about something for a moment, which is that I've got virtually, I'm disregarding this clue as a nonsense. I've got virtually no information about the final 4. Well, I've got 4 clues for 5 columns. So something on this left side must really do a profound amount of work, I think, for this to have any hope at all of solving uniquely. Oh, I can avoid a checkerboard here. Look, that can't be grey, or we'd have a checkerboard, so that's got to be green. So now, right, now I'm going to say this is a 7. Oh, in fact, look at this. There's 2 ways I can tell you this is a 7. This is beautiful. Right. Let us consider firstly the nature of the less than 23 clue. So we know that these 6 cells, which all must contain different digits, have to add up to a maximum of 22. Well, if we make this an 8, because the triangular number for 5 is 15, 15 and 8 is 23, and that is not less than 23, it is 23. So that doesn't work. But what we could have also done is look at this domino. Now this being a high digit is telling us that this needs to be a low digit, and once this is a 3, this can't be a 7 because that's not 5 away from it. So that is 8, that's 7, and that confirms what we've just worked out with regard to the 23 sum. It's so pretty, isn't it? It's really clever, this. It really is clever. So now we can bound the 23 clue. It simply cannot take any more cells. So that cell is grey, which doesn't give us any checkerboard opportunities. So what we might need to do now, well, I tell you one thing we can do is we can write in the values of those 4 cells, because we know the only way of getting as low as 22 is if we minimize these cells with 1, 2, 3 and 5. That is forced. 1, 2, 3, 5. Now that one is not 5. This is going to be resolved somehow. Hang on, let me just stare at this for a second or two. How is this resolved? Oh, come on, Simon. What on earth are we missing here? Well, that can't be 9. Is that really the limit to what this tells us? That seems unlikely to me. That one sees a 2 and a 3. So that's become a 1 or a 5 now only, which is almost very beautiful. This is the sort of Cinderella digit. It's become very beautiful. And now we don't want it to tick over to midnight, do we? How do we get this worked out? I don't know. I'm not seeing it. Sorry, I'm not seeing how to do that. There might be a way, but I don't know what it is. So, where do we look now? Is it this 13? No. Well, I was going to say, is it this 13 clue? And then I realised it was a less than 13 clue. So what we're actually talking about is a 12 or less clue. Oh. No. Okay, maybe. Is there something going on here with the number of low digits we're allowed to use in the 13 clue, or is that nonsense? The answer to that is I don't know, I don't think. So if the 13 clue had 2 low digits in it, i.e. 2 of the digits from 1, 2, 3 and 4 in this string, then these would also have to, then that would force, no it wouldn't. I could put 1 in here and 1 in here. And that would seem possible. If there is only 1 low digit in here though, then it gets very difficult, because then I would have to use 5 and 6 as my high digits, because I need to keep this total down to 12, and that would make this grey, and that would make that grey as well. That would be hugely powerful. So is there a way of concluding something intelligent about the low digits in the whispers here? That's a low digit because it sees 9 on its whisper. That's right, isn't it? I can't see why that's not right. It doesn't help me very much because unfortunately 5 away from 9 gives 4 options, but that means this is a high digit, so that's a 6, 7, 8 or 9. Oh dear. Bobbins. I don't know. Again, I'm sort of, my spider sense is tingling here. I can't see how to do it. So what do we need to do? Perhaps we need to think about how this connects to the edge. I mean, it almost certainly takes this cell, doesn't it? If it didn't, it would have to take this cell, and that cell is very restricted. Oh, well, it does take this cell then. We can say that straight away, because if we try and make it not take this cell, the problem with that is this digit. So this, if we try and make this cell grey, it can only be 6 because it sees 7, 8 or 9. And that means the only cells that we can, or the only digits we can put next to the 6 on the whispers line is the digit 1, and there is only one of those. So I could put a 1 here, but now it's impossible for this to extend any further in this direction. So the way that this would have to connect to the edge is still via this. So whether or not this is in, this is always grey. Oh, this is right. This is so clever. This is... You can see why KNT is getting all these plaudits at the moment, because look now. Now those two cells by whisper logic are low digits. And now I've got a real problem with my 13 clue. I've got 3 low digits used already, so I can put 1 low digit in my 13 clue. So let's put the digit 1 in there. That's the lowest of the low digits. Now I've got to put in 2 digits that are not 1, 2, 3 or 4. So the only digits available would be 5 and 6, and that's what it must be, because this has to add up to less than 13. So this has to be, this is not 2 or 3 now, this is 1, 5 and 6. And this is grey. And this is grey by avoiding checkerboard logic. And this is 1, 5, 6. So we can take 1 out of here, 1 out of here, 1 out of here. We can take 6 out of here, therefore, because 6 has to be next to 1 on a whisper. That's got to be not 6, and that's 7 or 9. So one of these digits is 4, and whichever one 4 is will have to have 9 on its whisper. So that one can't be 4 because it would be surrounded by double 9. There we go, there's a small deduction. So this is 2 or 3. This could be, that could be 9. Sorry, this could be 4 because I could put 9 here as well. Oh, actually, hang on. Hang on, that doesn't work. Right, there's something wrong with this. How can that be 7? It can't be 7, because 7 can only be next to 1 and 2 on whispers lines. And neither, well, one of those squares can be a 2, but the other one can't, so that's a 9. And the same is true here. That can't be 7. It would have to be next to at least a 3 on one side. So that's an 8, which means that this can't be 4 anymore. So now this is 4. So 2, 3 pair in row 3. And the bottom cell is now a 7. So 7 is over in one of those cells by Sudoku. This square sees a, this is a 1, 5, 6. It sees a 1, 6. Good grief. So this is a 1, this is a 6 by Sudoku. This is a 5 by Sudoku. We can get rid of some 1s from the world. We can we do more? Probably. That cell can't be a 5 anymore, so this is only 2 or 3. So the 18 clue's got to come at least one cell out, because we obviously can't make those. We could never have made just 2 cells add up to 18. If that's a 2, this would be 6. No, that wouldn't work. That would have to be 7, 9. If this is 3, this would have to be 6, 9 to only be 2 cells. But that might work. Okay, so this 6 is ruling itself out of that cell. So 6 in this box look is in exactly one of those 2 positions. And I was going to wonder whether we could use the fact we need 6 in the 29 sum, but actually the 6 can come in through here, so we can't use that. So what do we do next? Your guess is as good as mine. I do not know. Oh, simple logic. That's not a green cell, because that would be a 1, 2, 4 triple. There's already 4 here, so that's got to be grey, which means this cell has got to be green. to connect the greens to the rest of the world. This cell is grey now because otherwise we'd have a string of 4 adding up to 7. That won't work. This green still has to get out, so that's green. Avoid a checkerboard, that's green. Greater than 11 doesn't even tell us that this needs to go any further, so that clue is weird. These two cells add up to 7, and they're not 3, 4, so this is 1, 6, which would have to be that way round, or 2, 5. I don't see how we resolve that. I might be missing a trick. Okay. So what do we do next? We shall look instead at... right. How is that cell now grey? It's not. Because if it's grey, it's got to be a high digit, and it would have to be a 6, which would have to be next to 1 on the whisper, which it can't be. So that is green, which means this is green to avoid a checkerboard. Oh, I was about to get excited about this grey getting to the side along here, but it's actually already hit the side, so we don't have to do anything extra. We do know this is grey, and it's next to a low, so that's got to be high digit, and it's not a 9, so that's 6, 7, or 8, and it can't be 6 because it would be next to a 2 or a 3, not a 1. So this is 7 or 8 now. It's going to be a very, very long video because I think the first bit of the video was 10 minutes long when I just did the instructions, and now I'm nearly up to I'm at 46 minutes on the actual solving. Yeah, and by the way, if you do watch the channel regularly, this is the thing probably we debate amongst ourselves the most. We try and do a mixture of puzzle difficulties. The fact is that most of the puzzles we get sent now are very, very, very difficult puzzles. They're puzzles that if we did them every day, every video we did would be like this one. They would be enormously long videos, if indeed we could solve them. And our sense is, although I'm not confident about this, our sense is that people like the mixture. They don't always want to see monstrously hard. As much as anything, people don't have time to watch monstrously hard Sudoku every day. But we don't know, because some people really do hold out for the impossibly monstrous ones. And on the other hand, many of you out there might be silently wishing that there were more easy puzzles or easier puzzles. So if you do have a view, please do drop a comment and try and let us know what you want to see more of. Or maybe the balance is right, and that would be good to know that too. Anyway, I'm hoping my subconscious has been busily working on this while I've just made those comments. What do we do now? I have not got a clue. Again, it's one of these puzzles where you suddenly hit an absolute wall. Well, how did I make that a 5? I'm just wondering, because I've got 5s pencil marked in those two cells. Oh, I know how. It's because I needed to make this add up to 23, didn't I? And I think that was probably the... Yeah, okay, so that was a 1 or a 5, and we had a 1 here, so that does seem fair enough. Okay. So, have we got some other way of... Well, let's work out what we need in this column then. So we need 1s, 6s and 9s. So this is only 1 or 9 actually. And this is 1, 6 or 9. Which might be important, maybe. Don't know. Can't see how to do that. There's got to be... Oh! I can see how to do it. Right, look at this domino. That needs to have a high digit in it because it's a whispers line. Well, that high digit cannot be 6, 7 or 8, all of which see this domino. So there's a 9 in that domino, and that resolves that cell. That's beautiful. Again, This is a stunning puzzle. That's a 9 in the corner. No song, though, for you. That's a 2-3 pair. So this square is a 6, I think. By Sudoku. That means 6 is over here. 9, it's also in one of these 3 cells by Sudoku. This 9 and these 9s are meeting up. Oh, I tell you the other thing is that how can that now be a domino and not go further? If this is a 2-cell sequence, yes, if this is a 2, that needs 7, 9 for it to be a 2-cell sequence. If it's a 3, these two have to add up to 15, and there's no way of doing that now. 9 and 7 have gone. So this extends, which is probably the world's most useless extension, actually. Let me just think about this. So, okay. This is actually quite daunting now, because there is just nothing on the right hand side of this grid clue wise. I mean, less than 20. What does that mean? And well, I know what it means, but how do I use that? What is it that I'm meant to be appreciating here? I have no clue. Why? Is it Sudoku? Or is it some weird cave logic I'm not appreciating? I don't know. Genuinely not got a clue. Okay. These, okay, I've got a 2-3 pair I've just seen in row 8. So I need 4, 6, 8 and 9, and the 6 and 9 are over there apparently. So that cell is only 4 or 8. So if that was a 4, that would force the 9 here. If that was an 8, it would force the 9 here. And then this would have to be, well, it could be anything, I think. It couldn't be 1, 2, 3 or 4. So there's something I'm not appreciating now. But what that is, I don't know. If this was a 3, that would have to be an 8. This would be a 2, that would be fine. This can be 2 or 3, I think. These digits have no requirement on them at all because of this silly greater than 0 clue. Greater than 11? That doesn't mean anything. And this is isolated whisper, so that doesn't tell us anything about the world. It sort of feels like it must be this 18 clue somewhere, somehow, some way, doesn't it? Okay, let's pencil mark this up. 4, 6, 8, 9. So if this is grey, it couldn't be, it would have to be a high digit, which would mean this would have to be a low digit, which would mean we would have to have a 4 here and a double 9 into those cells. But that looks actually not unreasonable. And then this cell would have to be a 2 or a 3. That would give me a 2-3 pair there, which would be nice. That would resolve that 7 at the top. Oh, yeah, okay, and this wouldn't be a deadly pattern because of the whisper possibility to resolve it. So that's quite interesting. Probably that feels almost right, doesn't it? Now the alternative to that would be that this is green, and then this has, I don't think this has any pressure on it at all. So there must be something I'm missing. Well, it's probably many things I'm missing, but there must be at least that thing that I'm missing. I'm almost wondering whether whoever sent me this has missed a clue off, because it's just so absurd that this can solve from here. There's so little information. Maybe this 18 is under more pressure than I think it is. I don't think it's... Maybe I can force it to come here or something. Let me think. So what's the... This could be as much as 8 and 5. That's the most this could be. I don't know if that's broken for some other reason, but that would be 13. There's no whispers difficulty, is there? So, oh, 8, look. So 8 is in one of those cells, I've just noticed. Maybe it's something like that that's important. So if this was 8, then the 18 clue could still have an 8 here. So if this was 8, 5, this would be, I'd have 13, I'd need 5 more. So I couldn't have an extra cell then. If that's maxed out, that would be as far as we could take that logic. So this, if this is 8, 5, this would be a 2 or a 3. And 1 would be in one of those cells, which is fine, I think. There is a 1 down there somewhere by Sudoku. So, wow. So these digits here are, one of them is a low digit, one of them is a 9, and the low digit is not a 1. So these are 2, 3, 4, or 9. Can we somehow improve upon that? They are the options. So if this is 8, this is 9, this is 8, this cell can't be 4, can it actually? If that's 4, then I have to put 9 in both of those. That's impossible. Right, so that's not 4. Oh, good grief, that's really difficult, but that's really important actually. Because now, how's this 4? If this is 4, oh, that's so clever actually. It's really beautiful. If that's a 4, this has to be a 9, but then that has to be a low digit, and the only low digit available is 4, which would repeat the 4. So this is not 4. And if that's not 4, I've got a 2, 3, 9 triple in the box. And a 2, 3, 9 triple in the row. So this is a 2, 3, 9 triple. So these squares are now... Well, no, the simpler question is, where does 4 go in the box? It can only go here. I don't... That's just madness. Absolute madness. So that's 4, that's 9 by Whisper's logic. So this is now a 2 or a 3. I've got a 2, 3 pair here, so that's fixing this, which is not 2, 5, and it's got to be 1, 6. So that's 1. That's 6. This 2, 3... Oh. Oh, dear. I might have broken this. How is this 2, 3 pattern getting resolved? It looks deadly, doesn't it? I could understand it being resolved if this cell had what's going to resolve this? Oh, the 18 clue could resolve it. Oh, okay, so it's not deadly. I thought it was going to be this digit affecting this, but the 18 clue can resolve it. So we have to focus on this, I think. These digits we now know they are 5, 8. So this is 13. I need 5 more. So this has to be a 2 or a 3. It can't be a 1. And we can't, because we can't extend it again, or those 3 digits would have to add up to 5, and that's impossible. So this is a 2-3 pair. And we must cease then. We must have a grey digit. So this row is 1s, 2s and 3s at the end of it. So this is low. So if this digit is grey, it has to be high, but it's very, very easy for it to be high. No 4s along here anymore. Let's tidy up our pencil marks. So now I know what these digits are. These are 4, 5 and 7. Oh, and this is the useless 20 clue. Less than 20 clue. Let's be precise about it. Less than 20. Okay. And this clue is still bazingering me. This is the Sheldon Cooper of Spelunker. Right, so what do we do next? The answer is I don't know. Small bit of Sudoku though. Where does 5 go in that box? And the answer is I don't know, but it's definitely in that column. So that means that cell sells an 8 and that sells a 5. And that means that sells an 8 by Sudoku. So now this column needs 4s, 7s and 9s, and that's interesting for the central cell, which has to be a 4. C7, 9 in the row. So I was about to say these digits are known, but they're not at all. We don't know what this one is, and until we do, we're going to be a bit baffled about what these are. Let's put in all the options in the interests of being Goodliffe-esque. So this is 1s, 2s, 3s and 6s. And that is a weird naked single. Look at that. 613, looking at that cell, that is a 2. And that fixes that, and that fixes that. Oh, here we go. Here we go. 2 and 3 over here. 3 can't be next to 7, so that's all fixed. These cells are no longer 2 or 3 because of the 3 here. This is a 1-6 pair, which is apparently not resolved. That could be grey, because 9 can absolutely be next to 2 on a whisper. These digits now are known. They are 3, 5 and 7, I think. And that is very interesting because, well, I was about to say for no reason at all because I couldn't see anything, but I just noticed that 3. That is actually interesting. That's green. Because if it was grey, it would have to be a low number, and it can't be. Oh, that's lovely. So that's green, and now I avoid a checkerboard by making that green. Oh, that's very cool. I've got a horrible feeling about this, you know. I think I might have had a clue missed off in this box, because I've got greater than 11, which is nothing. I mean, that's just not doing anything, is it? And I've got less than 20, and that's it. That is literally it. I'm missing something about this. This does not... I don't think this is going to be possible to solve. I've got to get that to an edge. Okay, so it can't get to the... Right, okay, maybe this does somehow do something. This triomino has to get to the edge. Now, it can't actually get to the edge here, because both of those digits have the same polarity. So it's got to get to the edge somewhere else. So if it takes this cell, that would have to be a 4. Right, so how does it not take this cell? How is this cell green? That's a good question. I don't think it can be, because how do I then get this to the edge? Well, I can get to the 9, fine, but then I can't go to the 6 because 4 and 6 are not 5 apart. So I could go here, but then I can't get out here. So this has to, I think, be on the path that this one takes to the edge. Now, that gives me an idea, because what is the nature of this digit? What's its polarity? And it's a sort of bishop's move. It's a king's diagonal move apart from this. So the next move that this 9 makes is going to be here or here, to a low digit. And then the digit after that, here, must be a high digit again, which is not 6. So I think this is 7, 8, or 9. That does absolutely nothing. It's not. I mean, if we'd known this was a 6, well, it couldn't have been a 6 because it couldn't be next to a 1. But that's the sort of thing that might, blaze a trail. So these digits, I think, are 4, 7, 8s, and 9s. And we have to go to a low digit next. So after we get here, we have to go to a low digit. This doesn't look very good, does it? 1, 2, 5, and 6 here. Okay, that is interesting. It's still, I think, giving us a tiny bit more logic each time, because how can this escape this cell here? How does this escape to the edge without going into this row? Well, the only way would be if it came here, where it would have to be a low digit, and it would have to be a 4, which requires its next cell to be a 9, and the cells on both sides of it would have to be a 9. And that's not going to work. We can't have repeated 9s in this box. So it's going to have to come into this row somewhere. But the digits here are quite interesting. 1s, 2s, 5s, and 6s. So that, yeah, so we can't come here and then go up, because the only high digit in this string is a 6, and 6 can only be next to 1 on the whisper. So we just can't take this. Well, we could take that cell as grey, but it's not how this gets out. This gets out by coming through here and hitting, therefore, a low digit. So if we did take that one, no, we can't. These two cannot be connected along a whisper. It's impossible, because this would have to be a 6. This would then have to be a 1. Doesn't work. So I think we have to take this cell, and therefore this cell has to be low, and that means it's a 1 or a 2. And then we still can't come here. We can't come here, because if we come here, this is a high digit, which has to be a 6 and a 1, and the trail would go cold. Oh, well, no, we could take that cell. I was misspeaking. We could. No, we actually can't. Full stop, we can't. Because the only way of this being in would create a 6-1 pair, like this, and that cell would have no fill. Good grief. Right, so that cell is definitively green, which means that, again, we've got to extend up here, and therefore this cell is high, and it's not 8. So that's 6, 7, or 9. I bet it can't be 6. It can't be 6, because if that's 6, where's its next digit? And the answer is there or there. So you'd have to have a 1 in one of those two cells. But this would also be a 1. If this is a 6, this would have to be a 1, and this one sees both of those cells. So that's quite cool. So that means, that tells us this is not a 6, it's a 7 or a 9, which gives us a 7-9 pair in the row. So these squares have got to be from 1, 3, and 6. There's definitely a 3 in them. So right, so can I just go? No, I can't. This is remarkable. This is absolutely remarkable. In some ways, this is It's amazing that a puzzle with this amount of complexity can still have this sort of logic at the end of it. It's just incredible. So how do we now escape this to the edge without coming into this box? So imagine all of those were green. How would we get this to the edge? Well, we can get it to the edge. We can go here, which would be a low digit, and here, which would be a high digit. But that would make this a 6 and this a 1, and that breaks that cell. So that doesn't work. So we've got to come into this box. And I think if we've got to come into this box to escape to the edge, which we do, how do we do that without taking this cell now? The answer is that we must take this cell, because otherwise we have to make both of those grey, and that breaks this again. So that is now grey. That's a bishop's move away from this. So this is a high digit, which is now a 6 or a 7. Now, that is putting a lot of pressure on the world, isn't it? Can this really, really and truly be a 6? I want to say no. I don't see a way of it working if it's a 6. But let me just think harder about that. If it's a 6, if it's a 6, there would have to be a 1 connecting this cell to this cell. So there's a 1 in one of those two cells. But there would have to be another 1 on this side of the 6 to try and get this to the edge of the grid. That feels impossible, but maybe if that's a 1. Oh, no, you can't have 2 1s in those positions, actually, because that would break that down at the bottom. So how does this work? If this is 6, how does it work? If we put the 1 here, no, we can't do that. There's a 1 in this row. Oh, I hadn't appreciated this. There's a bigger problem. Where does the 1 go in this box? It's got to be in one of those two cells. So if this is a 6, it can't be a 6. Wow, that's amazing. It's just ridiculously clever. I don't think this can be a 6. Let me explain. If it's a 6, we have to decide how we're going to get this to the edge. Now, we could decide we're going to take this cell as grey. But the moment we do that, it has to be a 1. And then this cannot continue in any direction. Here would make a 2 by 2, and both of those would need to be a 1, and the 1 would repeat. So the only way this works, if this is a 6, is for this cell to be on the path, and therefore, you've guessed it, a 1. But now, that's going to make this cell a 1 to connect to the 6, and that's breaking the bottom of the grid. Doesn't work. So this is a 7. I'm still not even very comfortable. I understand how 7 is going to work, but that being a 7 now gives me a 5 here, and a 6 here, and a 5 here, and a 7 here, and a 3 here by our old friends Sudoku. Now I know what these digits are. So these are 2, 3, and 5. These digits are high digits, 6, 8, and 9. And these digits are somethings, 1 and 4, I want to say. So this being a 7 takes 7s out of these cells. And I've got this labelled as green. I can't remember why I did that, but I think I did do that for a reason. I think I think it's, yes, this would have to be a 6, wouldn't it, if it was grey, and that would have connected to a 1 and broken this cell. So this is a reasonable green. I've still, weirdly, in doing all the logic, I've not used these clues at all. Now, here is an interest. No, I thought that was going to be an interesting question. It's not. Okay, here is an interesting question. How does this 7 get to the edge of the grid? Okay, and my question now is, does it come through here or not? If it doesn't, if I make those green, then to get this to the edge of the grid, it has to come here. That's the only way it can go. And if it comes here, yeah, again, because if it didn't take here, so it would have to take those two. They would have to be 1 and 6, and that would break that. So if it comes here, this can't be a 4, it has to be a 1. And now this can't be a 1, so that's a 4, so that's off the path, which means this has to be on the path, and that's got to be 5 away, so that's got to be 1, and I still can't put a 1 in row 9. Still doesn't work. So what that's telling us is that one of these two cells up here is on the path. Well, it can't be this one, because that cannot be a high digit, and obviously to get to this it would have to be high by bishop's move logic. So it's got to be that one on the path, and then it's got to be low, and therefore it can't be 3 or 5 and has to be 2. So that gives us, no, it doesn't give us enough. Right, so the next move this takes to get to the edge is now here, because it can't come here. So that is how this gets to the edge all the way up here, and that can't be a 6 anymore. This is absolutely remarkable. Now this is now necessarily green because it can't connect to a 2 on a whisper. This is necessarily green. It can't connect to an 8 or a 9 on the whisper. The 7 could connect here. What we can't do is sort of go here and here. That won't work because the next move is going to be impossible. Well, yeah, I mean, we could make a string of digits here, but we could never get this to the edge. In fact, let's think about that more. The greens all have to connect, so those have got to be green anyway. So forget about getting us to the edge. We've simply got to connect these greens up. So now it's just down to which of these is the final. So there's a 1. Oh, that's so clear. I've got it. I've got it. How does this connect to this? And the answer is, I still don't know, but I know it's connecting through one of those two cells, and the only way it connects is via a 1 in one of these two cells. That sees that digit. Wherever the 1 is, it sees that. So that's a 2, and that's a 3, and that's a 1, and that's a 2 along the bottom. Good grief. Good grief. So that's a 5, that's a 3. I want to say, where does 1 go in this column? It looks like it's got to only go there, I think, which makes this a 4. That 1 would work very nicely with this digit, so that's possible. Oh, in fact, it's resolved, isn't it? Because once this becomes 1, it rules out the ability for this to be on the path of the grey. So that's green now. That is grey. I don't believe it. Right, that's what this greater than 11 clue is doing. This greater than 11 clue, which I thought was doing nothing, and was doing nothing at all until now, where all it's saying is that this can't be a 6, because it would only see 11. And by making that not a 6, we put the 6 in the corner. If I knew a song, I would sing it happily. So 6, 6, all of these things come out. This 3 is giving us a 1 here. That's giving me a 6 and a 1 here. That's giving me a 3 here. 7, 9 pair. Might not be resolved yet. I'm not sure. Oh, I've got a 7, 8, 9 triple in this column, so that's a 4 and that's a 6. Oh, okay, and I remember worrying about this before. How is this resolved? It's resolved by this 3. So that's got to be a 2 to make this add up to 18. 2s and 3s go into the grid. If I get through this puzzle, I mean, it really should be a YouTube premiere because it's such a brilliant puzzle, but I think it's probably a bit soon to do one after the other day. So this is now 6 by Sudoku. What's going on here? I'm still very conscious of the fact that I've not even thought about this clue. I've got an 8-9 pair. Oh, I've got an 8-9 pair in this column, so that's a 4. That means this is a 5. This square has to not be 4, so this is just 7, 8 or 9. This square is 7 though. Okay, so that's 7. So, hang on, what's going on? Why isn't this done? What's going on? I've got 8s, 9s, 7s, and no resolution. Oh no, I still don't know which of those. That could be 4 and that could be 9. That's 9, that was 4. So no, that works. That could be, if that's on the path, that's putting no pressure on this. So there's something else going on. So it must be this clue, less than 20. So it's 19 at max. Okay, so if that's green, I've got... If that's green, I've got... I was expecting to get a useful number there. I don't know if I do. I think I get 18, which is not 19, so that's weird. So if this is green... Oh, no. Right, okay. Now we've got to be careful about connectivity here. I had not spotted this, but look, there is a great wall of grey here, and I've got to get this connected. So that this here has got to connect to green. So that's got to be green. Now, if this is really clever. So if that's green, I then have to complete my wall of grey, and I will never connect this up because this is already adding to 18, so I can't take another digit in green. So this is not right. So this square is now grey, but that still doesn't actually... Well, I suppose it greenifies this column a bit further. Okay. This is crazy. Okay. I've got a horrible feeling I'm about to get stuck. I'm really sorry, but I don't immediately see at all. Oh, I see. Oh, I see. Yeah, no, I do see. Making this grey, of course, it's a 4. So that's giving me a 9 here, but on the whisper logic, because it's got to be 5 away, and that's going to finish the puzzle, is it? 9, 8, 8, 8, 9, 9, 7. Yeah, I've done the puzzle, I just haven't done the shading. So this was double 9, which still allows this to be a 4. Okay, I see. Good grief. Right, I think I've got to approach this by thinking about this cell. This cell is next to a grey low number, so its nature is green, which means this must be green. Now, I can see this square can't be green, actually. I see, yeah, okay, this is less than 20. So I've already got 12, so if this is green, this cell has to be would make this count 20, and that's too many. So that's got to be grey. That works from a Whisper's perspective. I've now got to get this green connected, so that's got to be green, which means this was grey after all that, and therefore that's green to avoid a 2 by 2. And that is the finished puzzle, I think. Wow. Just wow. That is ridiculous, isn't it? That is one of the longest videos we'll ever have made on the channel. Incredible. Incredible KNT. I couldn't do one of these every day. I wouldn't have time to live life. It's not. I mean, I know I'm implying there that there is more to life than Sudoku, and that's quite ridiculous. But you know what I mean. I mean, I'm fried now. That's amazing. That is an amazing puzzle. And what's one of the most amazing things about it is it was incredible at the start, very interesting, and it stayed incredible to the end. Even, you know, it's just remarkable that this triomino has to get out here by logic. And you know, there was almost no clues in this part of the grid. It was almost not necessary for there to be any clues, which is so extraordinary. I mean, what a puzzle that is. That will live long in the memory. Absolutely brilliant. I am spelunked. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments. I enjoy them, especially when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.